5 Live is all about the live action, and we're going now to England, France, in the company of Katy, Daley-McLean, Paul Grayson, Matt Dawson, and our correspondent Chris Jones.
Thanks so much, Ian. Thomas Ramos, who scored a brilliant try for France a moment ago, as this kick to take the lead out to 10. He drifts it in nicely. Dream start for the French at a place they've not won in the championship since 2005. Ramos try, Ramos conversion, Ramos penalty. Matt Dawson, England 0, France 10.
Yeah, I mean, France certainly have picked up where they left off for their away form against Ireland. It's fast, it's furious, but it's calculating. They're hitting the right areas where England, to be perfectly honest, have been pretty soft.
Defensively exposed, haven't they, twice. They're going to have to look after the ball today. If you turn down possession, France will kill you.
Not one, not two, but 3 World Cup winners in our commentary team today. Matt Dawson, Paul Grayson and Katy, Daley-McLean. Katy, how good was that French try from your vantage point on the touchline?
Hello, it was absolutely phenomenal. You know, it was just the interlinking play from France. The bench were on their feet, moving the ball. It was nice and quick. It's everything we've come to know from this France side. And to be honest, Chris, they've continued in that way for the rest of this first half.
England with their first attacking opportunity of this game, which is almost 8 minutes old on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. They have a penalty advantage to England. Here's Marcus Smith. Henry Slade edging up to the halfway line. Still with that penalty advantage. England trail by 10 at Twickenham. A must-win game for both sides if they had to have any designs on this Six Nations title, which is in Ireland's hands ahead of that crunch game at Murrayfield tomorrow. Kicked through by Smith. No advantage. Penalty England halfway line. Penalty at Spurs for John Southall.
Tottenham 3, Forest 1. Forest have a penalty. Surely too little, too late. But here comes Andre Ayew on his left foot. And it's saved by Forster. Fraser Forster saves it. Tottenham are going up the other end. And they lead Forest by 3 goals to 1.
All the full times as they happen here on 5 Live as Marcus Smith takes play up to the 22. Matt Dawson, England's first real territory of this first half.
Yeah, first great opportunity for England, and this is where they've been strong in this championship so far. Set piece, line out, options, what have they got?
Lewis Ludlam juggles with it. It's nasty ball for Jack Van Poortvliet, but he gets it away to Smith. Advantage for the France knock-ons. This advantage will be brief as Van Poortvliet finds Jamie George 30 metres out, slap bang in centre field. England need to score next. They trail by 10. Lewis Ludlam with Carl Sinclair, the dummy runner, but not much happening there. Penalty to France. That was a nothing attack from England.
Yeah, shapeless from England.
Driving player on the ball, holding on.
Off their own line out. There is a bit of drizzle in the air as far as I can see.
Go.
But a fumble from Ludlam meant that the ball wasn't played cleanly. Attack was messy, they lost their shape, they turned it over.
Well, France have really come to play because instead of going for touch, they saw some space, and Anthony Watson is in a world of trouble. He's done really well to step out of the clutches of Penaud, but that was quick thinking from France, who have come, you feel, with an enterprising heads-up game plan. All the talk in the week was about the French kicking game from Steve Borthwick, but they've scored a brilliant try, and they've just got a few tricks up their sleeve, you feel, as they target this first win at Twickenham in the Six Nations since 2005. England with static ball for Ludlam as they try and set up a platform to clear their lines. The England forwards in there offering Jack Van Poortvliet a platform, but referee Ben O'Keefe is being really quick on getting Van Poortvliet to use it, and he kicks looking for touch, and he does find touch round about where you are on the touchline, Katy.
Yeah, it's very quiet down here, Chris, to be honest. It's England bench are very quiet. They're not on their feet and kind of just looking on.
Yeah, it's been a subdued start from England.
Well, England are doing exactly what France would have expected them to do. All the homework that France have done defensively, England are just walking into their patterns, whereas France completely the opposite. England think that they've had 2 weeks of analysis on France, and they've come out with different options. They're attacking in a different way. They're keeping the ball on the field and they're doing a different line out.
There you go, over the top from Marchand to Ficou. It's nice set piece ball. Atoje gets in and does a good spoiling job on Dupont. There are numbers to the left if England can use it. Sinclair's at dummy half, finds Van Poortvliet, who kicks. He only had Ludlam outside him, and Tamak casually bats it back and then clears down the touchline. Here's Smith. Will he look to counter-attack or will he look to kick? He will do the latter. As Tamak scoots round in the backfield. Now this might be a chance for England to go, Paul Grayson.
Absolutely, you would expect them to counter-attack. Horrible kick from Ntamak. Here goes Malins.
Malins throws a dummy, goes over halfway. England 0, France 10. The full-time scores coming in on 5 Live. Leeds 2, Brighton 2 was our commentary game with Ian Dennis earlier. And it's a full-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs for John Southall.
Tottenham 3, Nottingham Forest 1. The game won in just over an hour. Tottenham 2 up at half-time. 2 Harry Kane goals. Heung-min Son added a third. Joe Worrell scoring a consolation 9 minutes from time. And Ayew missed that late penalty. Tottenham 3, Forest 1.
It's interesting, just obviously on Marcus Smith watching this opening period. And he's very demonstrative as a player, waving his arms, pointing and shouting. But as England turned that ball over and had an opportunity to counter-attack, Smith was pointing to say, slow the ball down. Perfect opportunity. Guarantee at Harlequins, he'd have had the ball in his hands and had a crack.
Going to be so interesting how Smith's game plan changes from club to country. And the rain, Katy, is starting to fall. We said all day how nice and dry it was. Different picture now.
It really is. It is raining quite heavy down here, Chris. You know, we're under the stands and we can still feel it. It will be interesting how much this affects England's game, but also what it does to their kicking game. We saw the slice kick from Entermac, but obviously the ball will get quite greasy now.
10 points in these conditions are a huge buffer right now.
Well, Smith waiting for one of those spiral bombs, which are treacherously hard to take. But Ramos, the man of the moment who scored all 10 of France's points, he took it adeptly as we go to Maz at Goodison Park.
The unblemished 2023 in the league is at an end. Brentford have lost here at Everton. What a valuable win, though, this could be for Everton in the relegation scrap. The only goal of the game was a brilliant finish from Dwight McNeil in the second minute. Everton are out of the bottom 3. Full-time Everton 1, Brentford 0.
Nice one, Maz Farooqui at Goodison as Matt Dawson punches the air. Everton winning 1-0 as England through Malins grubber it through, and they will force the French back to throw into the line out 10 metres out or so.
As Matt Dawson throws his head back in frustration, England on the front foot. Smith had a crack. We know that's going to be that's part of his DNA. Doesn't need to overdo it. They're on the front foot. They're in French territory. They immediately kick the ball off the pitch, give France the ball back. Yes, it puts a bit of pressure on. Goodness me, after one phase, there's more to come. Keep hold of the ball.
Well, what have France got? Marchand, nice drill to Oliver. Dupont down to Aldrid. That's good. Concise forward play from France, who get their line-out drill right and have laid a platform for Dupont, who's got one of the biggest boots in world rugby from number 9. And he doesn't just clear sort of 10, 15 metres, Matt Dawson. He's up to halfway. What a peach of a kick as England go quickly. Well, back with you in a moment, Matt. But full time for you at Leicester, Pat Murphy.
3-1 to Chelsea. Final score. Chilwell got the first. Daka equalised. Havertz and Kovacic got second and third for Chelsea. Fast sent off near the end for Leicester. Leicester 1, Chelsea 3, Chris.
Another penalty there against England going off their feet. And this is we've spoken about this a lot, of course, with England, about how to adapt given what the opposition are throwing at you. And now they're going to have to adapt because of the conditions. You know, you woke up this morning, lovely clear day, you're thinking, oh, this is all right, nice drive track, no problem, let's get our heads around it. Now the drizzle, and slightly more than a drizzle now, is coming down. England have not only got to play in a different way strategically, but the way that they ruck, the way that they clear is going to be slightly slippy. It is going to be more advantageous not to have the ball in certain parts of the pitch.
Well, France from that penalty of a line out on England's 22. So how quickly did that picture change? England were throwing in, or France were throwing in 5 metres out. Now it's France who are on England's 22 line. Thanks in part to that brilliant clearance kick from Antoine Dupont. We've got used to that. One of the great players in the world at the moment, and an ever-present in this French side is the captain. Driven on by Cyril Bay, another ever-present, part of 8 Toulouse players in this starting 15. Ficou's kick, which way is this going to end up? It's actually going to go dead. So Ficou not quite accurate enough with his kicking, and it will be a 22 or a scrumple, Grayson, depending on what England choose.
Yes, it'd be an interesting choice. 22 is called. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting scrum battle when eventually we get to one. Inevitably there will be one because of the conditions. Somebody's going to knock the ball on. Ficou just trying to build pressure. They're away from home France. They're 10 points up. It's chucking it down. There's nothing wrong with that.
As Katy, Daley-McLean on the touchline saying it is really teeming down with rain. All of my previews were about a lovely dry day for rugby. Perhaps a chance for Marcus Smith to show what he can do ball in hand, but the conditions have turned, and France have a 10-point lead. Always handy, but extra so with the rain falling like this. England have it on the halfway line. France, as they were in Paris last year, really strong over the ball. Not been their strength so far in this championship, but they've edged the breakdown battle. They've edged most of the battle so far in this first 16 minutes on 5 Live. As England and Jack Van Poortvliet prepared a kick, but it's slightly ponderous from England.
Yeah, the standard box kick and a poor back box kick. England going to be in a lot of trouble if they're offside. France got the ball for turnovers.
And Ramos sees some space, the fullback. Well done, Van Poortvliet, who scampered back. And he will look to the boot, but straight down the throat of Ramos. England 0, France 10, 17 minutes gone. Ramos to his Toulouse clubmate Ntamak. And now Freddie Steward in his own 22 as England try and win this kicking battle. But Ramos is expertly positioned. He's got Ntamak and he's got Penaud, but he chooses to kick.
Outside.
Anthony Watson takes it just outside his 22. And he replies Paul Grayson, who's going to blink first in this kicking battle.
Well, that's a good kick from Watson because it split the two French players in the backfield. It will probably force Ramos to go off. England win that. They've probably gained, well, the halfway line's the barometer. They're now 22 metres inside France half. So good territory gain from England. Decent patience. Good kick from Watson to find the grass. Just because it's raining doesn't mean you can't attack. England start with the dry ball. They need some accuracy.
George to Chesham in the middle of the line-out. England do get a drive on now as they slope up towards the French 22. They trail by 10, England, after a slow start for Steve Borthwick's men, but lightning start from the French, who have some scores to settle here at Twickenham. They've got an advantage, England. Right, what can they do? Just outside the French 22, Slade's ready for the first receiver. It goes to Slade, out the back to Smith, slightly loose, but Smith may go for a run himself and almost gets past Donty, who does the tackle in the French number 12. Van Poortvliet, Slade to Maylands. I think England want the penalty back now. They've slightly lost their impetus in attack, and they will get the penalty as French forwards infringe the ball.
They come out the box quick, don't they, when they've got the defensive line organised. France. Sean Edwards' template, that kick long, get high up the field and then wait for your specialist scavengers to get over the ball. People like Marchand and Baye and Olivon, hard to shift when they get over the ball. England have fallen for that a couple of times.
Ironically, that was the one occasion where a little grubber through or a little chip over, France coming out of the blocks on a driving maul that goes down, and England think, right, we've got a freebie. France are sprinting up to close it down. That's the one in midfield that you chip over because you've got nothing to lose.
And Katy Daley-McLean, World Cup winning captain, on the touchline. England turning down the points. They've gone for the corner.
Yeah, interesting. Like you guys have been talking about, the weather isn't great, but England are going to back themselves. They've gone to Ollie Chesham, and who knows, because I think the rain is really going to affect England's tight attacking game.
And they have won it through Chesham, as you say, Katy, and they've got a maul going, England. France have done well, I think, to stop it. Is it still there for England? Yes, just about. It's now come loose, and it's in French possession. So what an opportunity gone begging for the English.
Okay.
And Dupont will take his time. He'll either kick himself or pass it back to his club and country teammate Ntamak. But this kicking from number 9 is excellent, isn't it, Matt Dawson, from Antoine Dupont?
Yeah, I mean, he's world class in so many facets of his play. He's probably cleared maybe 20, 25 metres there, and he's not going to be happy. You know, he wants 30, 40, 50 metres of clearance. Still a good position for England. It's been scrappy, but it's still good position.
Off the top of the line out, Van Poortvliet to Smith, and this time Smith kicks. Well covered though from Damien Penaud, and he gets a really good kick away. That is brilliant from Damien Penaud, Paul Grayson. 60-metre kick from Penaud as Smith goes quickly to Steward, Grace.
Yeah, guilty of this against Italy, booting the ball away early in the play. Every now and again from first phase it'll come off, but easy release of pressure for France.
Well, Steward took it from Smith's quick line out as the rain continues to team down here in southwest London. The kicking again from France is long and it's deep, and it's forced a mistake from Anthony Watson. And England, you feel, need to get a handle on this game, Matt Dawson, quickly.
Just go back into the kicking part, Grace. I mean, this is absolutely symptomatic of what we worry about with England. On the previous occasion, freebie, penalty, heads up, what's on, anything. Oh, France are rushing up. Let's have a little chip through and put some pressure on, opposed to set piece. That is a set piece call. They're going to do it. England are going to chip it through regardless of what the backfield cover is like.
Good stability, that's why you're rewarded.
Yeah, and that is.
Good balance, guys. Good balance.
You're not. It's either win or lose. That you either get it back or it's a busted flush. You've lost the ball. You've given away possession. You've taken the pressure off the opposition. So when it doesn't work, it's a total waste of time. What England haven't done is maintained any pressure once they've got into positions of territory.
Premier League scores from earlier, by the way. Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 0 in the early game. Everton 1, Brentford 0. Leeds 2, Brighton 2. Leicester 1, Chelsea 3. Tottenham 3, Nottingham Forest 1. And our 5:30 is at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City will be there at the conclusion of this game, which is 22 minutes old, and it's all France as Dante bundles over an England defender. Was that poor Jack Van Porfin? I think it was. Knock on by England, so France will have a scrum at the least. Dupont having a snipe. Nice delayed ball to Galficou, who bursts into the 22. Dupont's there, the ball's on a plate for him, and Tamak, clever little kick through, turning Smith. It's nicely weighted. Smith has to take it back over, and Steward will kick. It's a really good kick, Freddie Steward. Oh, saves the day, that one. 50-odd metres from the England fullback.
Yeah, monster clearance from Freddie Steward. 50-odd metres, as you say there, because England were really under pressure. Great scrapping in defence for Marcus Smith. Knew he had to take it back into the tribe. In the dead ball area, and flipped it up there. I will go back just a couple of minutes, or what you said, Chris, about Marcus Smith, and unfortunately it was going to be a game for Marcus Smith. England win this game. Marcus Smith puts a proper marker down to Steve Borthwick to say, I can win these games for you in tough conditions. That should be in the forefront of his mind, not the disappointment of it being wet and miserable, really.
Yeah, if you're going to be the long-term 10, I suppose you've got to do it in all the conditions, haven't you? As Aldrich carries. Aldrich's been quiet this championship, but he's been very prominent in the 23 minutes we played here, and this man is always prominent. Antoine Dupont, knock on. So will England really look to go here? They've got numbers to the right, Van Porfleet, and it's slowed down. He goes to the left. That's kind of where sometimes, Paul Grayson, you want England with the advantage to see, look, where's the space, where can they go? But Van Porfleet's slowing it down for the box kick.
Yeah, the immediate body language is we all sort of edge to the front of our seats to think there's a bit of space on the right. England static, pointing, box kick.
And there is the box kick from Van Porfleet. Up goes Ramos. He is sacked by Anthony Watson, but nicely done from the French. Cyril Bay, the industrious Toulouse prop, finds Dante. And France are doing it at their own pace on the 24-minute mark at Twickenham. England 0, France 10. They kick again for the open spaces, and that's another cracking kick from France. That may have been Dupont with his wrong foot.
It was Dupont with his wrong foot, his left foot from inside his own half. Fully 50 metres through the air. It's rolled out 7 or 8 metres from the England try line. They painted the picture, France. They played their two phases into the middle of the field. All their forwards stacked to the right. It looked like Dupont was either going to put up a box kick or pass it to Ntamak. The call came to go left. That's just a world-class piece of skill, but somebody saw the space, told him to do it. They played what was in front of them.
It was a 50-22 as well. I mean, that is a genius bit of footballing from Antoine Dupont. Wrong foot, 50-22. It's given France the line out, 10 metres out from the English line. They have a 10-point lead, and they can take a major step towards victory here as Aldrich peels away, and he's almost up to the line, the La Rochelle number 8. There for Dupont, finds Bay. Aldeguerri, the other prop, helps him out. Here's Dante on his return to the French side. Runs into Lawrence, but it's there for Flamand, who's on a carry. He's going to score, and this is a nightmare for England. And it is a dream 25 minutes for the French, who are going to go 17-0 up at Twickenham.
I mean, the hits are coming left, right, uppercut, over the top, from every single angle. And I mean, this is going to really sound really tough that we're getting stuck into England here, but I'm not sure the way that France have come out in this 25 minutes, many teams would be able to survive with this. Strategically, the skill level, execution, It's been world class. The footwork of Dante there just to make 2 yards, and the ball is so fast coming out the ruck. That, when you've got Flemont coming at that pace and that angle, the ball's right in the bread basket, no checking of the step. With these conditions, I mean, 2 England players are never going to stop him.
No, and it all came from that front of the line out. They worked a little move that set Gregory Aldrich free, bounced off Sinclair, bounced off his opposite number, Dombrandt. Then they were in behind England, even though it's only 3 or 4 metres. They're the metres that make the difference. But you're right, Dawson, it is a world-class start from a world-class team.
This absolutely stinks of Sean Edwards. On his homework, he's had 2 weeks of analysis of England and thinking, right, where are the weak spots? Oh, it's little front peel. Oh, just keep an eye on that long reverse wipers kick down into the corner, go for the 22, 50-22. All those little nuances that we know he's so good at, Chris.
England 0, France 17. Katy Daley-McLean on the touchline. Your take on the 27 minutes, in particular, England's tactical performance?
Yeah, it probably hasn't been their greatest performance. I think what's really interesting, Chris, from where I'm sitting, is when England are turning the ball over, so any of the time France are making an error, Marcus Smith is not looking to play. He's telling Jack Brown-Portfleet to keep that ball in, to slow it down. We're used to Marcus Smith playing with a high tempo, but in these moments where England are potentially have an opportunity, he isn't taking them.
Paul Grayson.
Absolutely right. Seeing the same picture from here. It's a risk-averse Marcus Smith at the moment. That's not what we want. It's not what we want him in the team for.
Well, England have to score next. That feels a non-negotiable. They've got a penalty, and interesting how they didn't kick the goal a few moments ago at 10-0 down from bang in front for 10-3. So I very much doubt they will go for goal here from the touchline at 0-17. And Henry Slade, who is left-footed, so probably better for the angle down in the far corner from where we are in the west stand, and he nudges it into the kind of northeast corner.
I've got a question for you, Chris, but I reckon I'm going to leave it till after this line out. I'll let you call this, then I've got a question for you.
Okay, 12 minutes to go to half-time. England 0, France 17. Ludlam at the front of the line out. What have England got? George to Van Portfleet, penalty to France. As England obstruct or cross or do something wrong in the maul. Yeah, Carl Sinclair got in front of the jumper, and those are just the kind of penalties you just would infuriate Steve Borthwick.
Anyway, back to my question. Forgetting about the Steve Borthwick era, in the 2 or 3 years before Eddie Jones left, when was the last time England absolutely emptied the tank for 80 minutes, test match intensity, whether they put somebody to bed or not?
Oh, you know the answer. It would be the New Zealand game, wouldn't it, in the 2019 World Cup?
England look like they've forgotten what that intensity level is.
Yeah,
they've not started the game.
South
like
Africa,
a massive test match.
in the autumn 21, they came out like a train, then dropped off, and South Africa dominated the second and third quarters. But yeah, I mean, that performance in Yokohama was a kind of generational performance, but England haven't reached the heights since, for sure.
And it feels like at the moment you're watching one team who absolutely know what test match intensity, emotionally, tactically, physically, looks and feels like, and that is France. And England look like a team who are talking about trying to get there, but actually they don't know what it feels like.
Well, a man who was instrumental in that night in 2019, Owen Farrell, who has struggled for form since, finds himself on the bench. And are you seeing much of Farrell down there on the touchline, Katy?
He was very quiet for the first 20 minutes, Chris, and then the last 5 minutes or so, he's on his feet. He's given Marcus Watson a lot of information, I think potentially about backfield. He's gesturing, he's pointing. So yeah, he's on his feet and he's very much involved in this game from the bench.
Yeah, when will Steve Borthwick call for his captain? Ellis Genge is the captain on the pitch, but Borthwick was at pains to point out this week that Owen Farrell remains the captain, and when he comes on, he will lead the side. Half an hour, England 0, France 17. The rain falling is far from the position England would want to be on the half-hour mark. They've got a scrum, Matt Dawson, 15 metres in from the touchline, round about the halfway, and they can launch anything from here.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one on that right-hand side. Scrum half's got to open himself up. DuPont's going to be in the defensive line. Again, this just needs to be. Oh, here we go. This is a freebie, a complete freebie. What have they been practicing for the last 2 weeks?
Slade, Lawrence, nice short ball to Steward as Smith went out the back on the drift. Here is Marcus Smith, nice delayed ball to Malins. Better couple of phases for England. They've gone maybe 15 metres or so. Van Portfleet to Atoje. Genge was there to help him out. Centre field, 15 minutes in from touchline, 10-metre line French territory. Slade to Sinclair. Van Portfleet out to Smith. Smith shovels it on to Lawrence. As England edge up towards the 10-metre line, but France look reasonably comfortable, and Van Portfleet is sacked by Danty, and the French pour forward, and the ball's desperately slow for whoever plays at scrum half, which is Don Brandt. Danty's off his feet, so England do get the penalty. We'll take Paul Grayson on England's attack from that set piece.
Don't mind that at all from England, working their way through the phases. Ollie Lawrence putting his hand up from set play to bring Freddie Steward into the line. Two big fellas isolating the defender, getting on the front foot. Then they managed to get to the outside. They've played through 5 or 6 phases. France have gambled in the breakdown, almost got it once, and the second time got it wrong. Danty gives the penalty away because England held on to the ball. Nothing flash.
I would like to see a little bit more invention from England.
Agreed.
I feel like I'm really bagging them here, but that was a free shot from the back of that scrum, going right to left, and it was a little bit lateral. You felt France it was never going to penetrate the French line and maybe create a bit of quick ball, possibly. But you're 17 points behind. Going back to your intensity piece, Grace, you want a bit of fire in the belly.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting from England. They turned down a couple of shots at goal, one at 10-0 down, one at 17-0 but over on the touchline. This one is to get England on the board from Marcus Smith. 40 metres out, maybe 41 on the angle, with 7 minutes to go in this first half, which has flown by and has been dominated by the visitors in blue. Smith for England's first point, up his steps. Oh, is he just about drawn that in? He has. That came in nicely from right to left. I thought he'd pushed it, Paul Grayson, but Smith is away. England are away belatedly. England 3, France 17.
Yeah, well done him. There's a lot of pressure on that kick. Once you've turned down a couple and suddenly you've got a long range one and you decide to go for goal, everybody says, what? Once you make it, 3 points on the board, get on with the rest of the game.
Yeah, nice settler just for the team to just say to themselves, right, we'll just calm down just a little bit. Let's get into our routine. Let's get the ball back, get this restart and exit right.
Don Brandt takes it and sets it up. Tackled by Aldreet. And Francois crosses in there. Both men in identical scrum caps. Penalty to France. And exactly as you said, Matt Dawson, get the kickoff right. They haven't. Penalty France, and France will knock this over for 20 points to 3.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if I was the England coaching staff right now, there would be the most enormous black X against Alex Don Brandt, who caught the ball and turned his body, ran into the opposition and turned his body submissively from the kickoff. That was the most extraordinary thing that I've seen a Six Nations number 8 do in this tournament.
8 on 8, Aldreet went straight through Don Brandt from that line out. Chance to even the score there for Don Brandt, he turned it down.
But that is a recurring issue for England, because against Scotland they'd got themselves back into the lead and then straight away lost the kick-off, didn't they? That gave Scotland field position. Got to get that right after scoring.
And also, as Ramos lines up the subsequent penalty after an average carry,
and he bangs it over, does Ramos. France lead by 20 points to 3.
I don't think this is the England back row as selected. I think Courtney Law's injury has something to do with the shape of the back row. From what I'd heard, that potentially Lewis Ludlam was going to play 8. Laws would have played 6, just for that extra bit of steel and fire that Ludlam brings.
Yeah, really interesting what would have happened if Courtney Laws had been fit, and I have absolutely no doubt your sources would have been on the mark. Grayson. Laws would have started with Ludlam at 8. Right, England have it. through Slade on the 22. The ball came loose from the ruck, and now England in possession. Van Poortvliet to Sinclair on with a run-up. It's had Aldrit again looking for the turnover. Oh, France are destroying England at the breakdown. And Gregory Aldrit is having a super game at number 8, making big plays. And just when England got some really good territory after the charge down by Willis from Dupont's kick, that's rare. Aldrit couldn't be cleared out. Lovely body position, easy call for the ref. Penalty France, a chance for them to clear their lines.
Best in the world at the moment, eh? Aldrit.
All-round player and a leader, absolute nugget, and what a technician over the ball.
Wow. I mean, he's got everything involved in that line break. In the delivery of the ball before the line break for the French try. Making a nuisance of himself, making big tackles. Yeah, that's what you want from your number 8, a real talisman, a real leader.
They got Francois Cross as well. It's a similar build in exactly the same scrum cap, so England must think they're seeing double with those two everywhere. But yeah, Aldrit having his biggest game in the Six Nations so far. France do overthrow, so they're just letting England back in with a few mistakes of their own. And Van Poortvliet was sort of gesturing as if he wanted to kick again, but Ludlam maybe went off script and chose to run back to Smith, who will kick, and that's going to be too far for the chasers. Ramos will take it, and he does, and he straight away looks to run. And those tactics again, Paul Grayson, that both you and Katy have singled out, that the default in their own half from England is always to kick through Smith or Van Poortvliet, and England give a penalty away and France have it inside their own half.
Yeah. Katy, do you reckon that kick was supposed to be contestable or long? Because it looked like neither to me.
Yeah, I think probably it was supposed to be contestable, doesn't it? And this is what's killing England, to be honest, this in-between kicking game. For me, I think you've got to play a territory-based game. The rain is really coming down, but we've got to find the grass. We can't keep kicking to France, because at the moment they're just taking metres and metres out of this England side.
And they have a lead which is handsome. England 3, France 20. With 2 minutes left, and
so you can work with the other team.
Matt Dawson, when you go a bit quiet, I know those cogs are whirring in the head. You've got plenty to say.
I'm just trying to work out what's Steve Borthwick going to say at half-time. England have had opportunities to have the hand of the ball. They have had set piece and line out, and they're going through their routines, but simply the routines are wrong. For these conditions and this opposition, they've got to come up with something better than England have delivered in this first 40.
Yeah, I wonder if they're still sticking to the tactics as if it was 0-0 when you're 20 points to 3 down, and that's a treacherous kick for Smith, who has to cover in the back. He does really well, Marcus Smith. He's eventually levelled, but England might have numbers now. Wide ball is dropped by Dombrandt, and France will have the scrum. England were queuing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 England players, and maybe 4 or 5 French, but Dombrandt spilt it. And again, it's just that ready-to-go turnover ball where England still can't quite get it right.
Is there going to be a little look at a tackle on Marcus Smith? Possibly Grace. Flamand came in there quite low, levelled him around the head.
Yeah, Smith did well to tidy it up and had a little run out of defence just as he was going down. Flamand's a big man, dropped his height quite well. We haven't had a close-up replay, so maybe the TMO's checked it and moved on. It was one of those where you thought, if he's caught him on the head, he'll be in trouble. England's response to the event, got on the front foot. France bent out of shape, made the right decision, moved the ball out into the wide channels. One pass, dropped it.
Well, France have a scrum. They are finishing the half. It's the final play of the half, by the way. 10 seconds left, so Dupont will feed. Penaud is lurking ominously for England, just in that channel between 9 and 10. And Katy on the touchline, absolutely imperative England hold out here. Another French score could be terminal, couldn't it?
They really could, you French, the bench have gone for a warm-up. England are doing the same, but it's pretty quiet down here, Chris. It started off with a lot of energy, a lot of noise from the England fans, and as this kind of half is built through, it's got quieter and quieter.
And what a noise, or lack of noise, that will be for the visiting French.
Yeah, you got the same scenario, exactly the same scenario England had probably about 10 or 15 minutes. France have got scrum right-hand side, loaded all their backs left, whereas England were very lateral and maybe got to the gain line. Possibly we'll see what one of the world's best back lines does.
France's scrum is going forward. They're going to get a penalty here if they want it. They've got the penalty, and Aldrit goes blind. He's got Dupont with him, but he goes inside. And France have scored through Oliphant. They've walked it in. You'll never see as easy a try in international rugby. Scrum going forward. England all over the place. Aldridge been brilliant. Oliphant too. And he walks it in. And France are taking England apart at Twickenham.
Wow. I mean, I have not seen such a capitulation. Not only in the scrummage, but the scramble defence, it was lost. People went missing. It was as if as soon as that try was scored, it was as if the England side shrunk to about an average of 5'5", and France went to 7 feet. This is men and boys right now.
Paul Grayson.
Dawson's called it. Men and boys. France have come on a mission. One of their most important games in the build-up to the World Cup is this one, because they've not won here since 2005. An opportunity to prove yourself as a champion team and a team who can have a genuine crack at winning the World Cup. They knew that this was a game that they needed to win, as we get a glimpse of Steve Borthwick preparing for half-time by disappearing down the tunnel, while Ramos sets up to take it potentially to 27-3.
Brutal first half for England, brilliant for France. And Ramos, who's not put a foot wrong like most of the French players, he adds on the 2. And I'm just listening to the noise around Twickenham, subdued to say the least. England 3, France 27. They've scored, 3 tries, the French? Ramos, Flamand and Oliphant. Ramos has kicked everything inside. England, just a Smith penalty. A word from Matt Dawson, Paul Grayson, and then Katy Daley-McLean on the touchline.
Just a quick one for everyone who's watched England over the last watched and commented on these games. What do England do at half-time before they go into the change room? What do? Huddle up on the field, have a little chat, then they walk in. No such. Dribs and drabs walk in. Ellis Genge talking to the referee. And this sounds awful, and hopefully there is a rocket being thrown in that England dressing room right now, but England are lost. Their minds are scrambled, and it can happen. It's 27-3 at home. We know what's going to happen with this crowd, given what happened against South Africa in the autumn. If England don't pull their finger out, there is a massive load of pressure on those players in there. Pressure on Steve Borthwick. Never mind the honeymoon period. Never mind he's only been in tenure for a couple of months. There's massive pressure in that changing room right now.
Yeah, and this has got nothing to do with who you play at fly half. There are problems all over the field for England. They get dominated in every facet of the game. The breakdown is no contest. It is all France. Chris, you said that Aldridge's been quiet this championship. He's packed a highlights reel into the first half, hasn't he? It's been absolutely magnificent.
Absolutely.
And, you're watching a team who, from sitting up here in our privileged position, you see the whole pitch, see all the space, you can play the game remotely. It's like a computer game because you've experienced it. And when you think something, France do it. France do what you're thinking. You think, oh, there's an opportunity there, and then they go. The opposite is true of England. You think there's an opportunity there, and England do something different.
And Katy Daley-McLean, World Cup winning captain, on the touchline. You must have been a matter of feet away from both sets of players coming down the tunnel. I imagine the body language very different.
Yeah, France looked very focused, but what was really interesting, Chris, was Owen Farrell. He was there, he was in the tunnel just waiting for the boys. As soon as they came in, lots of pats, lots of noise, lots of energy, arm round Jack Van Portfleet in his ear, chatting, lots and lots of information from Owen Farrell there, really using all his leadership skills.
Do you make changes, Matt Dawson, already on half-time?
Yeah, I do. I think they might consider bringing on Alex Mitchell. I'm not having all the slowing down of the ball, the box kick. I can't see how that's going to win us this game today. There's got to be a little bit of magic, and I've not seen it. I don't know what he's going to do with Mark. I think it would be a poor call to take Marcus Smith off at half-time. Maybe give him another 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, England have got to try and get on the front foot. Not stick Henry Arundel on as a player who just he does outlandish things, who's going to carry the ball hard in the forwards, because nobody's really... We've had one big hit from England in the first half, caused a turnover that Dombrandt dropped. Outside of that, no, Ribbons can carry the ball hard. England need to get on the front foot somehow.
It's been a desperate first half for England, but a magnificent one for France, who haven't won in the Championship here at Twickenham since 2005. We were chatting on the pod with Paul Edison the other day. He said they were gunning for this one, and how. England 3, France 27. Second half to come. Can England stage a miraculous comeback? Back with us here at Twickenham, but for now, over to Selhurst Park. Our 5:30 kickoff is just getting underway. Henry Moran at Crystal Palace against Manchester City.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. We'll be back at Twickenham for the start of the second half, but yet commentary on 5 Sports Extra of this one. Crystal Palace up against Manchester City. City unbeaten in 7, looking to put pressure on leaders Arsenal, who face Fulham tomorrow. 2 changes made by Pep Guardiola. John Stones starts for the first time since January after a hamstring injury. Bernardo Silva comes in having scored last weekend. Walker and De Bruyne dropping to the bench for Palace. Well, they might be in 12th, but no win since last year. Just 4 points between them and the bottom 3. This is a side that's careering towards a relegation battle. City on the front foot already, winning an early corner as well in front of the Crystal Palace supporters to my right. They've made 2 changes. Palace with Patrick Vieira bringing in Luka Milivojevic, replacing the suspended Doucouré. Jeffrey Schlupp is in for Eze. They need to find goals from somewhere. Not only have they not won in 2023, Crystal Palace, but the past 2 matches they've not even managed a shot on target. So things really do need to change for a side that'll be looking nervously over their shoulders. Here comes the corner, nodded away, and we're underway with the first couple of minutes gone here at Selhurst Park in the rain. Deep cross comes in, back towards the centre of goal. It'll be hacked away, will it? No! Smashed towards the back post. Good save by Guaita. Eventually it's hit back towards goal once again from Rodri, and Crystal Palace will just about smuggle it away. Alistair Bruce Ball and Danny Gabardon bringing full match commentary over on 5 Sports Extra as Manchester City look to put that pressure on Arsenal. Plenty of headlines from around the world of football today. All the details on the BBC Sport website and app. Some headlines from the EFL. Championship leaders Burnley beating Wigan by 3-0. Chris Wilder's first match in charge of Watford ended in defeat 1-0 at QPR. Sheffield Wednesday in League One maintaining their lead at the top of the division, winning 1-0 at Portsmouth. And in League Two, leaders Leyton Orient's match at Mansfield postponed because of the weather. Stevenage now second after they won 3-1 against Walsall. On 5 Sports Extra later on, we're heading to Florida. Live golf. Ian Carter keeping an eye on a storm-affected Players' Championship in Florida.
Yes, back on schedule now, Henry, after the storms of yesterday. They completed the second round earlier this morning, and Rory McIlroy unable to improve his position. He missed the cut, completing a round of 73. Also missing the cut, the US Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick. A lot of unfamiliar names on this leaderboard. The final group of 3 players will be teeing off shortly, with Adam Svensson of Canada as the leader at 9 under par, 2 clear of the Masters champion and world number 2 Scotty Scheffler, and Ben Griffin, who actually gave up the game a short while ago, but has come back with a real sense of force, and he is at 6 under par. There are some British challengers on there who potentially could muscle their way onto this leaderboard. Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood are at 4 under par, Danny Willett at 3 under par, and Aaron Rai at 2 under.
Thank you very much, Ian. Jack Grealish has just dragged a shot wide here as City exert early pressure in the driving rain of south-east London. It remains Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 0. On the other side of the United States, Russell Fuller's at Indian Wells, where Emma Raducanu's not too far away from being in action.
No, it'll be our commentary match on the BBC Sport website and app from 7 o'clock. She's just been practising ahead of her match with Magda Linette, the Australian Open semi-finalist. No heavy strapping on either wrist today. That has been a problem over the last week or so. Also in action, 3 British men. Andy Murray, instead of playing the seeded Pablo Carreño Busta, will play Radu Albot, a lucky loser from qualifying, and at 109 in the world rankings after Carreño Busta was unable to play through injury. And Jack Draper and Dan Evans, they are up against each other. Draper saying that he's been very grateful to Dan Evans and other British players for all the support and encouragement as he sets out into the professional ranks, but he's a dangerous opponent for Evans and any other British player for that matter.
Thank you, Russell. Emma Raducanu, as you mentioned, in action live on the BBC Sport website and app from 7 o'clock, so around about an hour and a half from now. Here at Selhurst Park, it remains Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 0. Elsewhere in the Premier League today, Bournemouth winning the early game against Liverpool by 1-0. Same scoreline between Everton and Brentford. Valuable win for Everton as they look to avoid relegation. Leeds 2, Brighton 2. Victory for Chelsea 3-1 away at Leicester. And Harry Kane grabbed a couple as Tottenham beat Nottingham Forest by 3-1. All the details on the BBC Sport website and app. Coverage of this match here at Selhurst Park between Palace and Manchester City is over right now on 5 Sports Extra. But here on 5 Live, it's time for the latest BBC News.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
With the BBC News for 5 Live, I'm Carl Hartley. The BBC says it's sorry for the disruption to its sports coverage this weekend after it was forced to change its schedule across some of its TV and radio output. Football Focus, Final Score and some of 5 Live's output has been changed last minute as presenters and pundits pulled out in support of Gary Lineker, who has been suspended by the corporation. Our correspondent Charlotte Gallagher is following the story.
This round now has become less about what Gary Lineker said or didn't say on social media, but a wider question about the BBC and how it enforces impartiality. It's snowballed from what was a fairly small story bubbling away in the newspapers to leading every news bulletin in the UK.
The BBC says that Lineker has breached its social media guidelines for tweeting about the government's new migration law. Labour says the corporation is caving in to government pressure. Stephen Barnett is a professor who has written a book about the BBC.
In my view, there needs to be a lot more discretion for free speech outside of its news coverage. In the entertainment field, there has always been discretion for BBC presenters, personalities to express their views, and that is the right way to go. And that's what the BBC needs to do.
In the last half an hour, Beck2, a union which represents many BBC workers, has called for an urgent response into the handling of this situation. Earlier, the BBC's Director General Tim Davies said impartiality is key for the organisation and believes that proportionate measures have been taken. Match of the Day will still air tonight, but it will be without a presenter, pundits and some regular commentators. And football managers and players might not be doing the post-match interviews. Here's our correspondent Andy Swiss to explain.
Normally their players and their manager would talk to the Match of the Day cameras after the game, but the Players' Union, the PFA, has confirmed that players at all the Premier League clubs won't be asked to do interviews with Match of the Day. They said in a statement that their members wanted to take a collective position and be able to show their support for those who have chosen not to be a part of tonight's programme.
In other news, 3 homes close to a cliff edge in Norfolk are being demolished because erosion has left them at risk of collapse. Residents have left their wooden properties in Hemsby, some of which are within 3 feet of the edge. Lance Martin says things have changed since he bought his house in 2017.
The risk to the property at the time was the coastal erosion around here was reckoned at about a metre a year. That would have given me 30, 40, even 50 years. So I didn't have any worries. Then we were hit by the beast from the east and the following storm, and it wiped all that out in that fortnight.
The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, has spoken to the Governor of the Bank of England about Silicon Valley Bank UK, which is heading for insolvency after the collapse of its parent company in the US. The government says it will work closely with officials to ensure businesses which are affected aren't left struggling. And major businesses, including Amazon, Sainsbury's, Airbus and Coca-Cola, have backed the Windsor framework in an open letter to the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. They've also called for the Northern Ireland executive to be restored.
BBC 5 Live. Hello and welcome to a Sports Desk special, Women's Sport Matters.
The Sports Desk.
We're bringing you a 4-part series in collaboration with the Open University, all about how the body and mind connects through sport and fitness.
I really struggled to get the diagnosis that I needed years and years before I should have.
I'm Katy Smith, and throughout the series we'll be talking about sportswear, exercise habits, periods and injuries.
I feel like I'm trying to give an excuse rather than being accountable for my performance.
The Sports Desk.
Check out all the episodes now on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Just coming to the end of half-time here at Twickenham, and it's a bleak picture for England supporters. Half-time score, England 3, France 27. Matt Dawson and Paul Grayson just getting their headphones on, having a sip of their half-time cuppa. France are out, England aren't. France want this second half to start, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, we get to see inside the changing rooms over the course of half-time. No let-up from Galtier and his coaches. Messages getting reinforced, going out with no doubt that mission half complete. Couldn't have gone any better for him in the first half. They'll want to do the same and absolutely hand it full in the face to England.
Katy Daley-McLean, World Cup winning captain, is on the touchline for us, where Steve Borthwick has been patrolling, talking to his players. Katy, now he's working his way back up to his seat.
Yeah, you've got Dan Coles and Owen Farrell on their feet as well, really giving the boys a bit of energy. But I think what's going to be fascinating, Chris, is how England approach this second half. I know that the guys are talking about individual players, but for me, it's about England's plan. What is our plan of attack? At the moment, it seems to be kicking the ball, and to be honest, that is not going to get us 24 points that we need to level this game. And I'd like to see more from England. We have so much talent on that pitch, and we're just not getting to see it.
Absolutely, complete tactical rethink required for England at 27-3 down. You're nodding your head, Paul Grayson.
I'm nodding my head at Matt Dawson putting a load of chocolate buttons in his hot chocolate.
Oh, right. No, I think he's made a hot chocolate, haven't you?
No, I have, but it wasn't chocolatey enough.
Oh, right, okay.
It was a little bit like England's performance. It wasn't chocolatey enough, so I put more in.
You dumped all our chocolate buttons in your drink?
No, not all. I've left you some. I'm not that guy.
And maybe less importantly, but still relevant, England's tactical approach in this second half.
Well, it is 5 minutes to determine whether you want to be in this squad, you want to be in Borthwick's mind for World Cup. It's that important. Time to step up, boys.
Yeah, England have Ireland away next weekend, daunting trip to Dublin, and then a break before the World Cup warm-ups in August, and then the World Cup itself, which starts in September. And how many players can do their World Cup chances some good in this second half? Because at the moment, Steve Borthwick will be incredibly displeased with that first half, albeit against a rampant French. England 3, France 27. We are underway in this second half, and France kind of embracing a bit of chaos here as Ficou finds Penaud, who offloads to Ficou, and France have done everything right in that first half.
Ball's
physical,
out.
accurate, aggressive, and getting little offloads away like that as Marchand finds Baye. Tackled by their Toulouse clubmate Jack Willis, who's playing against 8 of his clubmates. Aldrit, the dummy runner out the back to and Tamak, who kicks through. Steward cleans up and he puts his boot through it. Opposite number Ramos hairs back, and that's a good kick from Freddie Steward. Paul Grayson forcing Ramos to let it go around about the 22.
He does it well. France opened up, happy to play with ball in hand. Offloads from Marchand, Cyril Biden, and they poke the ball through. Steward, good position in the backfield on the right hand 15-metre line, and drilled it down the channel. Gets a kick on the ball to the right, little bit of off spin. England in France's half, ready to put some pressure on the French line out.
Yeah, we said it the first half. I know the conditions are not great, it's still drizzy, but you can play. And France have proven offload after offload. They've got the best stats in the competition for offloads, probably double. I saw a stat this morning, double of England. England need to increase that quickly because the speed of ball from France is ripping them apart.
France go to the front of the line now, but they've misdemeaned, and it will be a free kick to England. And before we have the free kick, Katy Daley-McLean, no changes yet for England, but surely Steve Borthwick is going to be poised soon.
Yeah, no changes, and all the bench are sat wrapped up in their big jackets. I think will we see changes? But we've got to let this team start to breathe, haven't we? We need to see something, and I think Paul and Dawson are saying about that. Just we need to see them move the ball. You know, it is raining. It did seem to look like it was going to slow down and stop at half time. However, that drizzle is getting heavier. But England have to play,
and they have a scrum from which they can play. They're 27-3 down. It's France's biggest lead ever against England in 100 years plus of rugby. Russ Petty, the stats guru, to credit for that one. But in all the games they've played, France have never been this far clear at half-time. As Ben O'Keefe resets the scrum on that cross between the 22 and the 15-metre line.
And I tell you who I would want in the dressing room if I went in If I was playing away from home and I went into the changing room, we were 27 points to 3 up. I'd want Sean Edwards and referee Ibanez, those types of players in the dressing room, bringing you back down to earth, giving you focus on what's going to happen next. But saying that, England in good shape on the 22. Let's see what they got.
Van Poortvliet feeds. Solid English scrum this time. And Van Poortvliet digs forward. Now he scoots to the left, finds Smith inside to Malins. Good tackling and Tamak. Centre field, Van Poortvliet's off by himself. Now Twickenham gets into it as Sinclair picks as well. Bit of a roar around the ground now as England go within 10. Slow ball, penalty advantage to England. Smith wants it to the right. He gets it to the right. Will he go crossfield? No, he finds Slade. Good tackling. Was that Francois Cross coming in? It was a brilliant tackle on Henry Slade, preventing him getting the ball away. It was Cross, and then Sinclair drops it. Backwards, said the referee. Smith jinking. Behind the gain line, though, back for the penalty. 7 metres out. Surely Van Poortvliet's got to go, or England have to play with tempo, because with 4 minutes gone in this second half, they trail by 27 points to 3. Ben O'Keefe, who's clearly been working on his French, tells France where they've gone wrong, and now decision time for England. It's a scrum they've called.
Called a scrum. I mean, it looked fairly even. Both teams look very solid in the scrum. England trying the same set-piece move that ripped Wales apart for Watson's try in that left-hand corner. I never work out whether that's a good thing or a bad thing that you go through repeat the move, because you know that France have watched it and be ready for it.
Yeah, you fancy with 3 runners at the line, they might pick the different one. Slade looked like he'd run a good hole if they played the short ball. Having said that, it was a good stable scrum. This is absolutely beneath the shadow of the post, just outside the 5 metre line. England's scrum was solid. French flankers will have half an eye on the break.
Back of the line out, back of the scrum, back of the scrum.
Well, England get the scrum, and then Van Poortvliet didn't tap it properly, and it's back in the hands of Smith. Smith goes crossfield for Malins. Oh, has Malins scored an amazing try? No, I think he's lost it. The body language from Malins suggests he has, a bit like his one against Scotland. He dived forward to try and get Smith's cross kick, but this one I think has spilled out. Matt Dawson, talk us through the replay as well. Ben O'Keefe talks to the touch judge.
He should have celebrated, regardless. Should have celebrated, because the referee will be influenced by the player if it's a really close call. Malins has gone for it.
Go ahead, Ben.
And it is a close call. Should have celebrated.
We just want you to check that, please.
Okay, on-field no try. We're checking grounding for you.
But you know what I mean? When if Malins had gone for that and had celebrated, the referee may well have said on-field decision try, unless you can tell me or show me a reason where he's gone the other way.
He was onside, I can confirm that.
He's gone for the, I don't think it's a try, prove me wrong. Little error there from Max Malins. Shame.
So Ben, the player never took possession of the ball, which means that he has then gone forward. It's a knock-on in goal, which will mean that it'll be a goal line dropout.
Okay, are you happy with that? Yeah. You happy with that? Yako happy as well? Okay, back on me. Okay, so it is a knock-on. There's no try because he's never in possession. The ball travels forward in goal, so it's going to be a goal line dropout for a knock-on in goal.
Well, Twickenham thought Malins had scored. England were lined up on the halfway. Smith had the tee on.
Okay.
But because Malins never had possession of the ball, it all happened in one movement, didn't it? And changes for England. What's happening here, Katy? Looks like Owen Farrell and Alex Mitchell, new halfbacks.
Yeah, but I think Owen Farrell has come on. He's come on for Henry Slade, though. So it looks like England's backline are going to have a little bit of a reshuffle there. Marcus Smith has stayed on.
So Smith 10, Farrell 12, Slade off, Lawrence the 13, you would imagine. So he's called for Farrell 45 minutes in. An SOS to the England skipper. All 105 caps of him as France prepare this goal line dropout. And England leave French territory for now with nothing. Don Brandt in the backfield from the goal line dropout. Has a bit of a run-up. Runs into a couple of French defenders. There for Mitchell. Big stage for Alex Mitchell. 35 minutes to show what he can do. Here's Smith out to Ellis Genge on the wide carry. In centre field, quick ball for Mitchell. Out to Marcus Smith. Freddie Steward comes on a short ball, shackled by the French, but there for Mitchell again. Smith on the gain line, deep to Farrell, nice ball low, and Farrell to Ludlam. Ludlam up to and into the 22. Better from England as Mitchell finds Dombrandt. Dombrandt crashes into the French defence. Mitchell to Marcus Smith. The carriers are lining up, one of them Sinclair. The ball much quicker for Mitchell, who's whizzing it away. Smith out to Steward. Here's Ollie Lawrence on the wide channels. England go into the French 22. They've got to score now. It's a non-negotiable as Steward finds Willis. 15, maybe a few more metres out for England, who trail by 27-3. Smith throws a dummy. Again, the ball is there for Mitchell, who's put pace on it. Genge, there might be numbers here for England. Lawrence comes short when Steward was wide. Mitchell now to Sinclair. Nice tip on to Willis. England might be isolated here, but no, Mitchell finds Steward. This is so much better for England. Freddie Steward up the line, and Steward scores. Excellent play from England. And Twickenham have something to cheer for the first time this afternoon.
Alex Mitchell, immediate spark, pace, accuracy. He is there almost as the ball is presented, slapping players out of the way, getting the ball away from the breakdown. The ball's gone from Mitchell to Smith 3 or 4 times in that passage. Smith darted back to the inside, used inside runners, had a go himself, challenged the line. Pace, pace, pace.
Yeah, and on top of all of that accuracy and speed of ball,
all clear, Ben.
There has to be some credit there for Owen Farrell, just coming in a couple of times to straighten the line. A second receiver outside, Marcus Smith, who knocks over the conversion. So just to give that little bit more width and a bit more, a few more questions to ask of the French defence.
Smith with the extras, England 10, France 27, Katy on the touchline. Immediate impact from Mitchell and Farrell.
What an impact that was, and the noise down here at Twickenham pitchside is amazing. You know, Owen Farrell having massive impact. You can just see by his body language the way he's bringing other players into the play, but also, Chris, just the way that England are starting to look. They've got wide players holding those touchlines, looking for that crossfield kick, similar to the one that Max Malins nearly took for that try.
Well, England have just got a new bit of energy, haven't they? Half an hour just over left. They still trail by 17, but another English score would really get Twickenham going. The kick from Mitchell is gathered by Ramos, and he kicks downfield. Smith has Steward with him. He's going to look to the skies, asking Freddie Steward to chase. Freddie Steward is brilliant in the air, but so is Ficou, who came forward. Steward is down, but now he's back up, thankfully, for England. Don T might be a bit of space for France. There for Dupont, just inside their own half, the French. Ramos is dancing. Ludlam has to make the tackle. Halfway line for Dupont. Oh, look at that pickup. Was that Cyril Bay? That's class from the big man. And Dupont just mixing up his kicking game. And Smith fumbles. Oh, the referee says it's gone forward. Big mistake from Smith. And France have the scrum. England 22 as we go to Palace and Henry Moran.
Just past the halfway point in this first half, and it remains Palace 0, Manchester City 0. Early chances for City. Rodri and Grealish with opportunities. Since then, the game settled down a little bit. Palace beginning to find a few openings just past the halfway stage of this first period. And it remains Palace 0, City 0.
Thanks, Henry. And we will have commentary of Palace against Manchester City when we're finished here at Twickenham, which is in about 30 odd minutes, as France make a couple of changes to their forwards. Paul Willemse off, and Romain Taufifenua is coming on at lock. They've made a change, I think, in the forwards as well, so we'll just get confirmation of that shortly. Number 3, Matt Dawson's pointing out, which is Balateas on for Aldegheri at tight head, as we see a replay of that Steward try sliding in using the wet. And Matt Dawson, absolutely essential now that England don't let France in again and undo all that good work.
Yeah, huge momentum shift from that Max Malins attempted crossfield kick, really sort of kick-started England, as if to say, right, OK, we're in the right areas, we've gone through the phases, a little bit more pace in the way that we attack. Massive difference having Alex Mitchell coming on, very different player to Jack Van Poortvliet, and I think has probably been watching this game thinking, right, I know how I can make a difference here.
Well, the scrum has gone up. That looked a ferocious battle between the two front rows. And a big call for referee Ben O'Keefe here, Paul Grayson. If France are scrumming for a penalty, Genge and Bai going to work on each other over on the far side.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just symptomatic of where France feel they may have an advantage. England have been very stable on their own ball. France haven't really tried to get anything out of England's possession, but they've gone for England on their own put-in. Good scrummage from England, didn't move forward or backwards, it just went straight up, right for the referee to reset.
You can't help but think, though, look, Penaud just poised. France got a flat back line there, probably forwards, maybe picking and going. Or maybe Dante up the middle.
Oh, good scrum, England. They needed a penalty. They got it, and look at the celebrations from Genge and George and Sinclair and the rest. They split the French scrum, just as you were saying, Matt. Penaud was lurking, the French were lurking, but a big intervention from the England forwards.
Yeah, where's that in the first half? 27-10 down. Yes, they've got an advantage there. Well done, great scrum. Don't need the histrionics.
Oh, they've missed touch, England. Going for broke. Nothing wrong with the adventure, but couldn't quite nail the accuracy. France clear up to halfway, so England will have a scrum just below us here in the West Stand.
I just want to see. So, even if Marcus Smith turned around himself and beat himself up about it, it's just a cardinal schoolboy error to do that.
England attack from the line out. Malins gets it to Steward, who has to straighten. England make a few metres. Oh, they've been turned over, haven't they, England? Yes, they have. Penalty France. Keeps happening this game. France all over the ball on the floor. England can't resource the ruck. And Katy on the touchline. Good set-piece platform for England, ends in a France penalty.
It does, but what is really fascinating is the impact Owen Farrell has had on the team shape. First half, England looked a little bit slow. They kind of didn't really know exactly where they were navigating around the pitch. Owen Farrell's coming on. You've seen Ollie Lawrence busting his working really, really hard to get into good shape. You're seeing Ollie Chesham holding an edge. And honestly, they look like a different side watching them now.
Busting his backside, I think, was what Katy was going for.
Thank you.
France kick it up to the 22, and yeah, this is where France and their coaching team, Matt Dawson, you know Sean Edwards well, they'll be thinking score here and really burst England's, a little bit of the balloon England are starting to blow up.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily expect anything too flash from France.
Yep, thank you.
Another replacement there, Grace, is it?
Yeah, Ben Curry on.
Over the top, France go Fiku. Oh, I think he had Penaud under the post, but he didn't give it. Maybe didn't quite work, but very clever from France, throwing long. And now Aldrit goes to work. Here the French are at their best. The big forwards doing what they do. With a 17-point lead, they can go pretty close to killing off this game now, the French. Well, what's happened there? Ben Curry, he's played with fire, but he's made a brilliant turnover. The referee's happy, and he's picked France's pocket as the replacement flank and saved the day for England, who are deep in their own 22. Mitchell will have to clear, and he does get it away. And Ben Curry took a gamble. That could have been penalty yellow card territory, but he got away with it. Excellent flanker play from the Saleman. In French possession now, as Taufifenua carries on the 10-metre line. England want the turnover, but they're not on their feet. Here goes Flamand. Good carry from the former Wasps lock. Here's Aldrit, who's on one today. Gregory Aldrit, the number 8. Busting the gain line with every carry are the French. Cyril Bay has a go now, and he does just the same. Quick ball for Dupont. There for Marchand, the hooker. Almost up to the 22. The ball comes loose. Who's going to take it? It's going to be Ramos, the French number 15. Now here goes Demortier, who's been quiet since that opening try. Dupont, Ramos, Taufifenua. England trail by 17 at Twickenham with 25 to go on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And Tamak, Oliver, the former captain, drives on, one of the try scorers today. And Tamak, clever kick through. Steward could be in trouble there, but does very well, Freddie Steward, and uses his strength to set the ball up. And England do just have it over on the far side.
Yeah, very tidy from France. Look threatening at every single break, every break of the line, every ruck. But I've got to say, some solid defence and well-organised defence. Probably would have made a difference having Owen Farrell in that defensive line as well to communicate. and England have relieved the pressure.
Mitchell clears Paul Grayson, and France with the line out, 30-odd metres out.
Yeah, I mean, France should have scored first phase from that line out when they've consistently gone over the back, haven't they, in this game? They went over the back to Fiku. He had Pinot under the post from the inside ball. Then Ben Curry went full Richie McCaw, decided to abandon all laws and just go and get the ball. Referee went with it. Then some good defence, an aggressive attack from France, a bit more test match from England.
Audrey wins the line out for France, who have it at the tail through Marchand. Dupont, the talisman at 9, is digging for the ball, but France won't give it up if their forwards are going forward, and that they do through Marchand. Curry's there to try and steal, but scooped up by the French. Francois Cross having a good game, he's in there to support. Dupont, Al-Tatal for Fanua, helped out by Olivon. What have England got in defence? What have they got in attack when they get the ball back? Can they get the ball back? Dupont's kick is a nasty one. Oh, and then Tabak has found Flamand, who's going to score and maybe finish the game. A loose ball, wasn't gathered by England. France did brilliantly. And Thibaut Flamand, who's having a stunning game at lock, he's got the try, and France now lead by 32-10.
Now, unfortunately, when we describe this, when we go through it, there are going to be people listening to this saying, hold on a minute, you're just whinging at England about kicking it in the opposition 22. The difference is the style of kick, the time to kick, what the score is on the board. And on that occasion, Dupont just, it was a lovely, it wasn't a grubber, it was a really awkward little sort of chippy. It was found the grass, it was going to bounce absolutely anywhere, and even if England did scoop it up, it was going to be mayhem, and France were going to smash into the ruck and possibly turn it over. Very, very clever thinking.
Brilliant kick from Dupont again. And I go back to what I said earlier on about watching France and seeing where the opportunities are, and they might have had 3 opportunities there, 3 different decisions to make. They made the right one, then they executed the skill, and then they made their own look by having the player into the area first, highest, tapping the ball back. Brilliant finish by Thibaut Flamand.
Well, England are making a change. Henry Arundel's going to get 22 minutes at least to show what he can do, but he wouldn't want to come on a 34-10, would he? Almost at the hour mark. England 10, France 34. Back to Selhurst Park and Henry.
Half an hour gone, still Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 0. Big chance for Erling Haaland for the visitors, spooning over from the edge of the 6-yard box. City looking for 3 points. Had he been at Twickenham, he might have got them. Palace 0, City 0.
Nice one, Henry. Remember commentary coming up from Selhurst Park on Sports Extras. Dupont, look at the boot he's got on him. Got a bit under that one. It still went 40-50 metres. Marcus Smith sends it skywards, asking Freddie Steward to chase. Up goes Steward, but he knocks that on, and France have possession, and they can just play some territory here and really enjoy this final 20-odd minutes. But Ramos has got other ideas. He's gone dancing through, and he's got Dupont with him, and he kicks for Dupont, who's lightning. Dupont against Smith. Back goes Smith. Smith 3 or 4 metres out from his own line. He might be taken dead here, Marcus Smith. I think he is going to be taken dead. The French all over the England 10, who is an inch or 2 inside play. And France actually may even think they've scored, because French hands have gone in to ground it. There's no offside line in dead ball. So this is going to be a very interesting one for Jaco Piper, Ben O'Keefe, and Brett Cronin, the CMO. Talk us through it, Matt.
Brilliant break. Skip out the tackle, Ramos from Ollie Cheserman. He was away. I've got to be honest, I thought he was going to keep it in his hands. He had plenty of blue shirts around him. Decided to chip it on. Brilliantly held off from Antoine Dupont. Marcus Smith went to deck, and he was fighting for his life to stay up. It's just whether the French players have driven him over Marcus Smith's own line. If Marcus Smith has dotted it down, it's fine. If he's presented and pushed it back, and as you say, it's a free-for-all. Anybody can... Oh, this is going to be a French try. Oh, it's a French try. Marcus Smith's presented the ball there, Grayson, and it's just rolled onto the line.
So you can dive.
He's fought so hard to stay out of his...
You can dive to score a try. Yeah.
In-goal area. Managed to maybe by half a foot stay in play. and then push the ball back. There's nobody there taking care of it from England.
Just getting a camera angle to show if he's onside.
Here's the TMO, Brett Cronin. Marcus Smith is being taken dead by basically the whole of France.
2 feet behind.
Olivon's fine there. He's perfectly within his rights to dive over the ruck because the ball is in the dead ball area. No offside line. Anton Dupont has made the tackle and driven him back, stayed on his feet. All the French players have piled in. Marcus Smith has done an amazing job to just buy a couple of seconds.
I'll come to you.
But when he's gone to deck, unfortunately, he's gone to deck infield and has presented it and probably can't even see Grace.
I won't come to you.
He probably can't even see he's put that over the line. Oh, man.
Olivon saw it, reacted quickest, leaned over the top of the ruck.
So, Ben, we've confirmed that number 7 is onside. I'm just making sure it's his hand that presses down on the ball.
Look, it is his hand. It is his hand, okay?
So if it is his hand, then we're
going to be a try.
Yeah, okay, I'm just going to... Now, Ben, I'm just going to explain, okay? Your questions about whether the player's on his feet or not, when the ball goes into in goal, just like if you're scoring a try, you can dive for the ball.
Yeah, I'm not about that. I'm on about before that.
Yeah, no, and we're happy with everything before that, so there's going to be a try to France. Okay? I've gone over your concerns. I wanted to explain it to you, but I'm going to...
Can I ask a question? No.
No, it's irrelevant right now, okay?
Another France try, and you might be able to hear the pockets of French fans around Twickenham who are delirious. You can see them, look, flying the tricolours right behind us in their groups of 40 or 50, having the day of their rugby lives, because no French team has won at Twickenham in the Six Nations since 2005. They aren't just winning here, they are absolutely thrashing England. England 10, France 39. The Olivon try is good, his second, and Ramos can take France past 40 with the kick.
It's a humbling, Grace. There's no question about that. We don't need to be rubbing salt into England's wound here. France are playing brilliantly well, but this is a humbling.
We'll wait for the kick and then we'll be down with Katy on the touchline, because imagine the mood in the French camp. I think it could be described as buoyant, maybe an understatement. Because we spoke on the podcast all week about how these games would be tight, one-score games. Instead, we've seen Wales win by 29-17, and France on the hour mark, as Ramos drills it through, they lead England by 41 points to 10, Katy.
Yeah, there's a lot of high-five and fist-pumping from the French bench, as you can imagine. But I think France have come with a masterclass of tactical kicking. They've kicked smartly, they've kicked into the corners, they've kicked to create pressure, and it's really paid off for them, Chris.
Hasn't it just? As England restart, and it's left by France, so it will be a France line-out. And we'll talk a lot about England in our Rugby Union Daily that will be out soon after the final whistle. But for France, who we all questioned whether they were having a bit of a wobble, having lost to Ireland and scraped past Italy, this is a resounding statement from the French in World Cup year, with their home World Cup coming up in September. Mitchell finds Sinclair, who is upended in the tackle. But England, what do you do now in these conditions? 41-10 down, Farrell's wide ball. Watson has to check. Fickou does the tackling. Still 19 minutes left.
I was about to say, Chris, you look up at the clock and note it says 79. Unfortunately, it says 61-40.
Well, Gens with a little offload to Sinclair. Remember, England were booed off against South Africa at the end of the autumn. That cost Eddie Jones his job. Steve Borthwick is in for the long haul, but there might be a similarly dissatisfied reaction at full time, albeit it is early days for Borthwick, who has only had 4 games with the side. And while England fans are urged to be patient, it's a reality check about where England are. England 10, France 41, 18 minutes to go, Matt Dawson.
Well, and the whooping and hurling is coming from the French players there, because there was a tremendous defensive set that England just could not pass the gain line, which was on the French 10-metre line.
Time off.
And as much as England were going through the phases and lots of hands, they just weren't making any progress. And I think that's part of the disappointment, part of the frustration of watching this England side, is that day in, day out, week in, week out in the Premiership, We see invention, we see heads-up rugby, we see style, we see great tries from all over the pitch. And yet, for some reason, when we get to the real big test matches, the crunch games that are equivalent to quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals of World Cups, that level of intensity, England are left wanting. And I just can't see where the creativity is, where the innovation is, even with someone like a Marcus Smith.
Well, England were 27-10 down a moment ago, and you thought, oh, one more try could get Twickenham going. But Paul Grayson, since then, 2 quick-fire French tries means that England are looking for the game to end. Even though they are attacking now, Smith loses it. Wet ball, but still it kind of sums up the day England are having. And yeah, you've been in many of these situations. Grace 41-10 down. I doubt it at Twickenham. Basically hoping the final whistle comes sooner than it is.
Still got an arm advantage.
If I have, I've wiped it from my memory. I mean, you just said a reality check. The reality is England are a long, long way off one of the top 2 teams in the world.
Well, they go to Ireland next Saturday. We'll have that one on 5 Live at 5 o'clock. And Sports Extra and BBC Sounds for the big one at Murrayfield tomorrow. Scotland going for the Triple Crown. Ireland, they can pretty much, I think, wrap up the title tomorrow. Although France may have something to say about that. They've got a bonus point in Howe with all their tries today. England attack as Farrell dribbles it through. And it's, well, look at France. They're just playing with such confidence, aren't they? And Tamak finds Dupont, who chips for himself. That is gorgeous. That is the sign of a simply world-class player. And he kicks, asking Demotier to chase. Arundel is back. Smith is back. And Smith takes it. Everything France are doing is turning to gold. 5-metre scrum, the French.
I'm so glad Antoine Dupont did that, because it just reminded me of what I wanted to say at some stage today. When yesterday, believe it or not, I do a little bit of prep for these things, Chris. But when I was doing my prep for this game, and I was just flicking through one of the apps with some of the stats on the rest of it, and we had the team sheet, and I thought, and I flicked through the team sheet, and I promise you, when I got to Antoine Dupont, I thought, I really want to go and watch him, and then moved on to Ntamak and everyone else. But there was that little glimpse of, he is Ronaldo, he is Messi, he is Zidane. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that little moment of great ball on the, passing to him on the retreat to turn around, and this beautiful scan of the field. It was like watching Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator, where everything goes digital to say, whoop, quick little chip over and execute it, and we're away.
He has all that, and he has the power output of, it's almost like someone's compressed a Charolais bull into a tiny little scrum half. He's immensely strong. The France try with Smith, he just picked Marcus Smith up and marched him with 2 or 3 England players back over his line. He is the absolute real deal.
I'm glad you used the footballers there, because for our casual listeners, they might not quite have seen much of this guy, Antoine Dupont, but he is a complete and utter global superstar of the game. And although only winning his 46th cap at the age of 26, he's got all the tools to go down as an all-time great of rugby union. He has captained this France side to a 41-10 lead with 15 minutes left. And what do you do? I've got a word from all of you, Matt, Paul and Katy, about what's the mindset of England now. Do you try and build for next week? Do you try and, Mitchell's caught now. France are all over them. They're looking for a turnover. Dante's on the ball. And England are 5 metres from their own line. If they look up the scoreboard, they're 31 points down.
Yeah, it's everywhere you look, it's just a long way to go. Look at the clock, long way to go. Look at the pitch, long way to go. Every ruck, you're under pressure from every single angle. Going back to the Antoine Dupont, I want to meet him. I've never met him. There's a part of me that just I want to have a photo with him. I want my kids to have a photo. He's that type of player. I might not have too much of a conversation because he knows a lot more than me, but I want to meet him.
He'll know who you are, I think, Matt. I think he's a student of the game. He'll have seen the break for the drop goal, know exactly who Matt Dawson is as Smith finds Farrell. I think that's our next podcast. Matt Dawson meets Antoine Dupont. We'll get the wheels in motion. as Marcus Smith finds Farrell out the back. Steward, who always runs gamely from full-back, but he's just met by a wall of French defenders, and Mitchell gets a kick through. Smith on Dupont, who kind of tapped it back to Ramos, and Ramos clears. And this is just, you know, Katy on the touchline. Every time England puts some pressure, France just return with a kick of their own, don't they?
Yeah, France are really looking very, very confident in this. I think what we've got to remember, though, is that these English boys will be very, very proud, and this will really hurt. So I think when you talk about what's next, it's to really try and finish this game well. You know, they'll be disappointed with how this performance and certainly how the scoreboard's ticking on. But I think they need to get control of it. You know, you still can hear Owen Farrell barking out orders, even from us, which are 4 or 5 rows from the pitch side. So I think they'll want to finish strongly, Chris.
Yeah, they really have to, otherwise it could get ugly. As Smith tips it on to Dombrandt. Henry Arundel's got some space and he is quick. Good tackle, Francois Cross. Thought Arundel might have the beating of the Toulouse number 6, but no. Mitchell to Smith, who delays, brings in Chesham. But it feels as if France have got a few forwards, and this will be, I know they've scored some great tries, and all the France coaches deserve credit as Watson kicks it through, bit of a ricochet, back goes Penaud. The fact that Damien Penaud's been pretty quiet and France are still 41-10 up does give you an indication of how much firepower there is in this French side, and they're looking to run it from their own crossbar, are they, France? Good tackling coming in by Ben Curry. France a few minutes from their own line, and England get a scrum, and a bit of noise from Twickenham.
Knock on, 16.
Yeah, France, it's the first time you can see that they are so comfortable. They've started messing around a little bit in their own 22. Trying a little hitch kick under your own post and a breakout. England managed to turn the ball over and get possession, but that was gifted by France. They could have cleared their lines. They're so far in front. Penaud bored. He decided he was just going to have a run. There was nothing on for him, but you can't blame him.
I can't hold it anymore. As part of this England development and coaching going forward, can we just have a moment for Antoine Dupont coming up? Can I be a fanboy?
Of course you can. You want to go down there?
I might run down.
Give him a hug.
Do the interview with him. Yeah.
He's off, and what a 68 minutes.
England, the players have to understand and have a reality check on what is good. Just good. Just because you've won a penalty under your sticks and you're 41 points to 10 down and you win a turnover, don't celebrate like you've won the game. You win a scrum at the end of the first half and you've been battered for a half.
England penalty. Mitchell wide ball is intercepted by Demotier, who's almost away. Mitchell tried to get it to Arundel. Oh, and England do get a penalty. They won a penalty from the scrum and they tapped. A wide ball, and Farrell wants it from the... Once a fresh ball, he's got it. He'll stick it into the corner. And you know, Owen Farrell, this is going to hurt him, isn't it? Such a competitor. The beating heart of this England team for 11 years. He belts into the corner with a scowl on his face.
Hurts us all, Chris, to be honest. We're all invested in it. We all want to see England do well. We've all turned up today thinking, right, France are in town. England will be absolutely on their toes, full of anxiety, which you channel and you turn into huge performances, even if they weren't to win the game. But they've been absolutely blown away today. They'll be gutted, the players. We feel the same way. It's hard to put your finger on why they've fallen so far.
England have the line-up, but they threw long, and then it was lost by a combination with Tojen Ludlam. Maxime Lucu is on for Dupont. He kicks long. They all kick long, the French. Massive boots on the number 9s. Steward runs it back. There for Mitchell. What do England have? They've got Curry at first receiver, who just crashes into Makalou, who's on in the back row. What an athlete he is. He can play in the back line as well as the back row. Can the Stade Francais player. England are getting very slow ball just outside the 22. Now, what have they kind of got in terms of their shape? It's George popping onto Makavinapola, who's on at loose head into the final 10. Relief for some England fans that there's not long left to go. England 10, France 41 at Selhurst Park, with our team there for Crystal Palace against Manchester City shortly. The ball's been turned over. Demotier finds Lucu. They're always looking to offload the French, aren't they? Scooped up by Ntamak. Up against Farrell, out the back it comes, nicely done. Ramos finds Fiku kicks, asking Penno to chase, and Penno's going to skin Dombran here, and he has, and he's got round Dombran, and Penno's going to score in the corner. Oh, it's going to bad to worse for England, and from great to magnificent for France.
I mean, just wind it back a little bit, and Tamak
I'm happy with everything. I've got advantage.
Scooped the ball up in the backfield. It was scrappy on his own, only 10-metre line. And ordinarily you thought he was going for the quick counter cut, took a head up and went face to face, eyeball to eyeball on Owen Farrell, as if to say, come on then, what you got? Quick fend, power fend to the chest. Owen Farrell went at him again and delivered the most beautiful out the back right-handed shift into the midfield, and then it was crossfield kick, easy strolling for the winger.
That's right in front of you, Katy, that skill for Ntamak, and then the kick for Penno.
Yeah, it really was. A French bench are on their feet, whipping and hollering up from that little pass. It was lovely. But what's really interesting, Chris, is Twickenham is starting to empty. Fans are leaving down the stands, and quite a lot of the fans are starting to go. There's a lot of noise, but it's all from them bottom corners where you can see the French flags waving. The noise is coming from France, and England fans are leaving Twickenham.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, and all that kind of feel-good optimism about the start of the Borthwick regime crashing down to earth as Ramos, I think he's missed today, has he? 48-10. And it has to be said, not that it'll make any pleasant listening for England supporters that are listening, that is the most points England have conceded ever at home. Again, Ross Petty with the stats. The last time was 42 points against South Africa in 08. Here they've conceded 48. Never have England conceded this many points at Twickenham in history.
Yeah, that's not something you want to be particularly proud of, and having been in that position of being in a losing side down in New Zealand and Australia, it can have some long-term effect. That is for sure.
Well, France have won a penalty. They're going to get 50 here, aren't they? I say that, they missed their touch. Let's go to half-time at Sellers Park with Henry Moran.
Goalless between Crystal Palace and Manchester City. A game of few chances, the best of which falling to Erling Haaland for City, spooning over from the edge of the 6-yard box. Pretty quiet other than that. Half-time, Palace 0, City 0.
Yeah, we'll be with Henry and the team. Ali Bruce Ball, Danny Gabardon. We'll be with them for the second half after we've wrapped up this and pick the bones out of it for a few minutes. Remember, Rugby Union Daily podcast is coming a few hours after full time. Paul and Matt will gather their thoughts, although both of them are looking on fairly forlornly as France, through their replacement Hooker Malvaka, throw it into the line out, and they're just full of wit and invention here, France, aren't they? Another little ball, Ramos, lovely play to Mortier, out to Penno in the... Oh, this is just sublime. This is rugby from the gods from France. Penno's got another one, and they've smashed 50.
Clean kill, untouched. I say they're full of invention. They've done everything right. Their detail is exceptional. It's a tiny little thing earlier on, but Alex Mitchell got caught in his own 22 because he rolled the ball back in a ruck with his hand, not his foot. France don't jump to get him by accident. That is the level of detail they're operating with, and then they played away from first phase. Two slick passes, a quick pair of hands, early delivery from Jaminet out to Penno, untouched in the corner. It is high. They're a high-functioning team.
I know that there are plenty of England fans leaving, but they shouldn't be. They should be watching this French side, because this is that's special. I'm hurting, properly hurting. I'm sick in my stomach. But my goodness me, it's fabulous to watch rugby like that. That's really, really special. But from an England perspective, this is what's the long-term effect? Let's not forget next week they're going away to the best team in the world. Wow.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Because we often, rugby there's times when the rugby can be great, sometimes when it's not good. You can see Turgis stuff. We've seen some magnificent rugby from France. That does have to be celebrated, albeit the England performance lamented. Ramos for once misses the kick, but it's 53-10 to France. They've scored 7. That may have been the pick of the bunch, although the try in the first try from Ramos was special as well. The French replacements are making a difference. Luku looks sharp at 9. The shape they're throwing at England in attack, and no wonder their coaches box, including the former World Cup final referee Jerome Garces, Sean Edwards, Rafa Ibanez, Fabien Gaultier et al. They were extremely satisfied with that one, and as you would be, winning at Twickenham is special. Winning by 53 points to 10 is beyond wildest dream stuff. England 10, France 53, 3 minutes left of England's purgatory. Smith now, he's going to run with the ball, which fans wanted to see him do it a bit earlier, and he's got past a couple, finds Ludlam. Onto the halfway line go England. Mitchell comes to the left, and as you say, Matt Dawson, Smith's now made a break. It's a shame it's happening at this stage of the game with the scoreboard like that, but still a good sight for England fans. England go through the gut. They've got numbers to the right and the left. Mitchell snipes to the left, taken out by Moafana, but England are only 6 or 7 metres away as the clock ticks towards the 78-minute mark. Out to Jack Walker, the replacement hooker, who's winning his 3rd cap, the Harlequin. There for Mitchell, who's caught. Ludlam manages to tide it up. England have a penalty advantage. Mitchell finds Farrell. Farrell double pumps to Anthony Watson, who shows some footwork. And I imagine France will be keen to keep England out just to end the game on a high and almost complete a 10 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, that French side have got Sean Edwards rattling around in their ear. No tries, minimal tries. Defend, hit the beach, whatever it takes. They've got to focus. I tell you for one thing, England score a try here, they better not celebrate.
Mitchell comes to the left, finds Walker. England are 5 out. We have 90 seconds left as Mitchell snipes. He couldn't be much closer, could he? A couple of metres. In goes Aldrit, who's been everywhere today. England can just surely score on the left if they use it. No, the tackling is coming in. England are up to the line. They're held up, so we'll go back for the penalty advantage. England ending the game. And if you're just joining us on 5 Live and you think England 5 metres out with 40 seconds to go, is this a match with defining moment? No, they're 53-10 down. It's an unprecedented, remarkable, unfathomable scoreline. England 10, France 53, 79 minutes gone. England do have the ball in French territory. Macavinapola pops and England knock it on, which kind of sums it up. And France with the scrum. Let's go down to you, Katy, on the touchline where you're surrounded by a delirious French bench.
Yeah, I really am. Everybody's on their feet. The social media, cameras, everything's waiting for this final whistle to really mark this occasion for France. And the energy that you're getting from the bench is huge. You know, it's amazing just to be here and watch it.
Yeah, conversely, you look at the England bench.
Time's off.
No one around. Probably, some in subs tracksuits, some not. Chin sort of hitting the floor in disappointment, a gasp of what England have delivered today. I mean, unfortunately, there are just no excuses. No excuses. From the off, England have not been at the races.
Okay, time on.
And it started after a couple of minutes, didn't it, Grace? That try from France, what was it, 3 minutes out the traps, and they've not looked back. The South Africa game was bad in the autumn, but this is almost another level because England have been dominated up front and carved apart.
Yeah, the full package. They've been exposed right across the field. Almost every facet of the game. Speed of thought, speed of deed, power, technical ability. It's been a lesson from France, and we talked in the week. I persuaded myself that actually England are due a big performance at home against France is going to be it. And I'm kicking myself because it's just a bad call. If you actually look at the reality of where the two teams are, it was going to take a superhuman effort from England to get on the coattails of France. This is if you went through it, this is the difference in the two teams writ large.
Yeah. magnified, blown, completely blown up.
It's like, right, let's have a forensic look at how good they are and how ordinary we are at the moment.
Yeah, 3 years in the making, one that's changed regime, changed all their backroom coaches. Grayson on alone. I thought England had a chance today, and I backed Italy to beat Wales. Wales winning 29-17, so...
Fish and chips for you tonight then.
Well, France have belted it out, and they celebrate. Not wild celebrations. This is the France side that are going places. We know that. They've won the Grand Slam. They've won at Twickenham now. They've got their home World Cup coming up. It's an almighty statement from the French. It's a desperate day for English rugby. England 10, France 53. A record defeat on home soil. And with Ireland in Dublin next weekend, where do England go from here? Been a pleasure to watch France, but a miserable experience for these England fans, Matt Dawson.
Yeah, miserable for England fans, the England players, the management. I'd like to say, you just write it off, bad performance. But England, I think Paul Grayson just used the word there, exposed. And Ireland will be watching this game and thinking, okay, we can do that. We can play that way. We can manipulate England in that manner. It just will put even more of a seed of doubt into that England coaching setup as to, are we playing the right way? And let's be honest, we have questioned it for quite a while, the way that England play. And we've taken it on the chin when the coaches don't like it and the players don't like it, and they come out and talk about it. But England cannot expect to win big games against the top 4 or 5 nations in the world if they are going to play in that manner.
53-10 at home. You in history, look back and say, well, where was the change? What changed? Where was rock bottom? We thought we'd hit it in the autumn. Found a new one, and it's going to be difficult for Steve Borthwick and his team to almost believe what's happened this last month, because obviously you have all your meetings, starting to rebuild your team, you're starting to work on some new stuff, new coaching staff, but there's something not quite right at the heart of this England team. Whether that's a cultural thing that's sort of built up over the last 2 or 3 years of where failure or relative lack of high quality performance is almost ignored because we've got a super secret coming in time for the World Cup. Only so many times you can hear that message before you start to believe it. You have 2 rotten Six Nations and it's like, it's all right, wait till the World Cup. Aha, you've not seen anything yet. Whether that was actually true in Eddie Jones's mind or not, I don't know, but that's a message that feeds through to the players. This game doesn't matter, you lost. I know you're finished, you've lost more games than you won, but it doesn't matter because we're heading in the right direction, etc, etc, etc. Here is the culmination of a team that are unsure of who they are against a team absolutely certain of where they're going, what they're doing and how they're going to do it.
Katy, your full-time verdict?
Yeah, it was pretty painful watching from here. It started off the way it kind of finished, didn't it? And I think just really flat, Chris. It was the crowd before kickoff was absolutely buzzing. There was a lot of energy and it just pitted out. And like you say, France were marvellous to watch. There's some amazing tries and just watching them interact. Their coaching staff haven't run in, they're just on the periphery and players are really enjoying the moment. But like you say, quite restrained. It looks like this wasn't just their main focus, and next week will be very interesting for them.
Well, thanks so much to Katy Daley-McLean, World Cup winning captain, with us on 5 Live, to Paul Grayson, to Matt Dawson as well. Ramos, Flamand twice, Olivon twice, Penaud twice. Ramos with 6 conversions and 2 penalties. England's try through Steward, penalty and a conversion from Smith. But it is a very dark day for English rugby. It is a statement performance from France. They've won at Twickenham for the first time in the Six Nations since 2005, but it's not just a win. It's a thumping. It's a thrashing. It's a magnificent French performance, but these scars will take a while to heal for England. They don't have long until Dublin next Saturday. England 10, France 53. To Selhurst Park we go, and Ali Bruce Ball.